Skype interviews. A lot more companies are doing Skype interviews these days, and I know that a lot of us are wondering about Skype interviews. How do we treat them? Is that a regular interview or not? So I'm here to answer your questions. Number one thing you should know about Skype interviews is, yes, we do treat them as regular professional interviews, and that means dressing up, attire. You would dress up the same way as you would for any other professional interview. That means a suit and a dress shirt. Number two, Skype, of course, does have its particularities. So one of them would be, in a regular interview, you don't have to think about light. But when you're doing a Skype interview at home, you better make sure that there's no window in your background, so you don't appear as, just a silhouette. You want the interviewer to really be able to engage in a conversation, and of course that's easier to do when they can actually see your face. The second or third thing to remember is location. So choose a spot at home that's kind of neutral. Don't do it in your bedroom. That doesn't come across very professional. Don't do it on the couch. If you have an office at home, obviously that would be ideal. Otherwise, just try to find a neutral looking spot at home with preferably just a white wall behind you and somewhere where you can sit comfortably, since you don't know how long the interview might take. The next thing to consider is interruptions. So your home space has its advantages. Perhaps doing a Skype interview from home is a bit less intimidating than actually reporting to an office. However, there are some disadvantages as well. You want to minimize any potential interruptions. You don't want to get phone calls in the middle of your interview. It's okay if it happens. You can always apologize, and I'm sure that the person at the other end of the line will understand. However, it might throw you off, which you want to avoid during a job interview. So remember to disconnect your phones, your landlines, turn off your cell phone, anything else that might make any sort of noise at home, your alarm clock, anything that is potentially noisy. Which brings me to kids. I'm recruiter mommy. I have kids. And those can be noisy sometimes. So if you have kids at home, make sure. I would suggest making an arrangement for the time of your interview. Have someone take them out, drop them off at a neighbor's house. Just because, again, you don't want your mind going off and wondering whether the employer at the other end of the line or the computer can hear your kids screaming in the background. Again, it's distracting and doesn't come across as very professional. Something else to think about would be other members of the family, not kids, grown-ups. Make sure if you live with other grown-ups, a spouse, a parent, you don't want anyone walking into your room and kind of circling in the background, getting something from the fridge, opening drawers. That happened to me as a recruiter, and it was hard to ignore. I would suggest just letting the grown-ups at home know that you're about to do an interview and explaining exactly what that means on their part. Test your Skype connection ahead of time. Again, another thing that can potentially really throw us off and can be a stress-inducing factor is if your Skype connection is really bad. So you don't want to find that out during the interview. So try calling a friend just a few minutes, arrange this ahead of time, talk to your friend, let them know that you have a Skype interview at a certain time, and try to call them maybe 10 minutes ahead of time to see that everything is okay with Skype. Test the sound, make sure that you know how to turn your microphone on and so on, make sure that your microphone's not muted, that they can see you and hear you properly. So when the time comes and you get the Skype call from your potential employer, all of that is taken care of, and you can just let your mind not even go there and not worry about the technical side of things. As for Skype interview content-wise, you should treat this as just any regular interview. Prepare as you would for a regular interview, which means compiling some questions that you want to ask the employer ahead of time, being prepared, doing your proper research on the company, anything that you would do and prepare for a regular interview. One last thing, very important, at the end of the interview, don't forget to log off Skype altogether. It can be very awkward if the interview is over and you just minimized the Skype window as opposed to logging off altogether. You don't want the employers or recruiters to see you having your lunch or snacking in front of the computer, and that's the best case scenario. So rule of thumb, don't forget to switch your camera off. Hopefully that answers any questions you might have about Skype interviews. You can find more information on job searching, resumes, and the challenges of interviewing as a new mom on my website, www.recruitermommy.com. Thanks, and have a great day.